Hey everyone, this is Saito and you have just seen the livestream of the version 5.3 and the two new 5-star characters which are gonna be Mavuika and Citlali. So in this video I'm going to give you my opinion on whether they are going to be meta relevant or not. That said, let's get right into the video, but before that please consider to subscribe because we are almost at 200 subs and when that happens I will make a special video about Genshin that will be pretty long. And now let's get to the video. So we have seen how Mavuika plays in the special program, but still I will give you a more precise explanation. She does have some interesting things that at least make her a pretty original character for Genshin. The skill has two modes, both of them have a 15 seconds cooldown, which is kind of a lot. If you'll tap it, it will make a ring that will constantly deal damage every 2 seconds, which is similar to what Kuhi Shinobu does, so this is like some sub DPS behavior. But if you just hold it, she will get a fucking motorbike and start hurting the enemies on a motorbike. And also, of course, yes, you can use the motorbike for exploration, you can sprint on it, you can even hit the opponents with it. And it's also very cool that she has a whole ass moveset for just fighting on a motorbike. That's pretty cool. But the elemental burst is by far the weirdest one out of all the characters in this game. You could see this on Honkai Starrel, but definitely not in Genshin because she does not have energy. Instead, she has Fighting Spirit, which is a special kind of energy that you will gain in some specific methods. She will gain Fighting Spirit every time one of your party members will do a normal attack, and this will happen every 0.1 seconds, so every time you want. And also you will gain more Fighting Spirit every time you consume Night Soul points. So that immediately says that you will need to play some Natlan characters with her. But you don't need to wait for it to be 100% ready to use it. Instead, you can just use it even if it's just 50% charge up. Once you do the burst, she will gain 10 Night Soul points and also deal a huge amount of damage. And then she will enter a special mode similar to Raiden Shogun. In that mode, every time you do damage, you will not consume Night Soul points, and also you will have a very powerful resistance to interruptions. Also, based on the amount of Fighting Spirit that you use to use the burst, she will gain more damage on her normal and charge attacks. So it's very interesting that she can be both a main and sub DPS, and the damage I believe it's going to be very high. But on a sub DPS perspective, I don't think she will ever compete against Zhangling because Zhangling is just so much better. Now you already know the first passive talents, the Night Soul transmission. This happens for every single Natlan characters. Just like with Mualani, Kinich, Kachina, Shilonen, everyone else, she will switch onto the field and use her motorbike. But the cool thing is that you can do it even with Chaska and Mualani, because the motorbike is able to go on water and also fly. So you're flying with Chaska and then switch to Mavuika and she will come onto the field while flying on the motorbike, which is pretty cool, but it's just another exploration tool that will not even last that much. The important passives are two, and the first one says that when a nearby party member triggers a Night Soul burst, she will increase her attack by 30% for 10 seconds. I guess this is powerful when you do the tap skill because she will keep dealing damage off field while also getting increased damage if you use a Night Soul burst, but again, the problem is that you will be forced to play Natlan characters, and I don't like this, especially when so many of them are 5 stars. The second passive talent says that after you use the burst, every single point of Fighting Spirit will be used to increase the attack, and this can reach up to 40% and will last for 20 seconds. But this effect will not just dissipate after 20 seconds, it will slowly decay over time. So maybe the first 5 to 10 seconds it will be very powerful, but then it will start getting very weak. But that's fine because her burst will last only 7 seconds, so all of the burst duration will get that increased damage. And the last bonus talent is that the Night Soul transmission cooldown will be decreased by 20%. Again, pretty cool for exploration, maybe not outside of Natlan, that's it. So there are two things that we need to consider right away. The first one is that she will need a lot of Natlan characters. And this is not something that I really like because I saw the same happening with so many other characters where they need other 5-star characters to be able to play optimally. But I think that the best Natlan character that she could work with would be Shilonen, because Shilonen is very generic at just debuffing the enemies, she's pyro, so you can do it. And also I guess you will never have to worry about bringing a pyro battery because she will just not need energy. So I guess this also means just playing energy regen on her will be completely useless because the value on gaining Fighting Spirit is fixed, so you can't just increase it or lower it. You gain that much Fighting Spirit and you can't do anything about it. That's it. So another pyro won't do anything, and I guess this is pretty cool because then you can try something else. Oftentimes when you make a team you will often need like 2 characters of the same element because this will give you much more energy and it will be much easier to trigger the burst. But if you can't speed it up, this will mean that you will change some teams even more. But to be honest, that spot that another pyro character would have taken will just be taken by Shilonen or Kachina or just another Natlan character. But honestly, after all this time I just came to the conclusion that Natlan characters will never actually be very cool, to be honest, because of the plugins and stuff. When you play like Kachina or Chaska or Mualani, the skill bar will not last much at all if you are outside of Natlan, and that's a huge problem because yes, I guess it's like lower accurate and stuff, but outside of Natlan they get so much weaker. You get to explore so much less, you get to do anything way less, and that's very annoying. I was hoping that Mavuika will get something like gaining new Plugistone even outside of Natlan, so you get some more versatility of using the skills even outside of it with other characters too. Like Mavuika gives you some Plugistone and then you can switch back to Kachina and deal more damage, because otherwise exploring exploring for like 5 seconds is not much. I don't get why they didn't do that. Now, can she be meta? Of course she will be. Like, it's Mavuika, of course she's gonna be meta. It's an Archon. I have never seen an Archon apart from Venti not being meta. I mean, Venti, when he got released, he was very meta, in fact. And Zhongli was not meta for like a week, and then he got fixed, and now he's broken as usual. So yes, she will be meta 100% for many reasons. First of all, she's incredibly versatile. She can be a sub DPS even if not for much. She can be a very powerful main DPS. She fights using normal attacks, so that means that you can play her with Ilan and Xinchu. She has a burst state that will most likely deal a huge ton of damage, except she's not only going to be a sub DPS like any other Archon, and her C6 is just going to straight up kill God. However, something I've noticed is that over the time, the best Pyro main DPSs have always used normal attack spring enhanced. Just think of Hu Tao and then Arlecchino, which is for now the best Pyro DPS, and now we have Mavuika. It's honestly pretty sad that they keep just using the same concept. I wish they were just more creative in all of this, because the kits always look very similar, even if they're cool. Like, I'm not saying that she's not cool. I like the idea that you can use the burst at 50%. I like that she spawns a fucking motorbike. I like that she uses all of these weird normal attacks. But a more interesting kit than just using the skill and then spamming normal attacks would have been a bit funnier. In Wuthering Waves, even a 4-star character is going to be much funnier to play because she can do so much more. Lumi has 2 skills, 2 complete different playstyles. She can also run even faster than Mavuika on a fucking motorbike. But at least they're trying, you know? At least they're trying to do something interesting. A motorbike is very cool, the weird attacks are also very cool. So yes, in general, I don't really like these Genshin Impact characters kits, but this time, this one is a bit cool. Okay, as for Citlali, she's going to be a 5-star Catalyst Cryo. Immediately, the normal attacks don't do anything, as usual for so many other characters, but the skill is kind of interesting. She will summon a shield, so she's a shielder, and she will gain 24 Night Soul points. Now, what does she do with Night Soul points? First of all, when you get 50 Night Soul points, she will summon a storm, so you will need another 26 points to summon the storm that will constantly deal damage all over the enemies. We don't know the actual numbers on how strong it's gonna be, but if you just see the passives, you will soon see how strong it is. As for the burst, she will deal some splash damage, and also summon up to 3 skulls. Each skull will follow a different enemy, so I don't think you can get 3 skulls on the same enemy, and after some time they will explode, dealing some damage and increasing the Night Soul points for Citlali. But the passive talents for her are going to be very powerful. First of all, she's got the Night Soul transmission, and yes, it's the same as usual. It's also going to be very similar to Auroron's, so yeah, it's just the transmission. When its Papa is on the field, its Papa is the pillow that she will summon by doing the skill. It will follow her around and then cause the storm, but once it's on the field, every time you trigger a frozen or melt reaction, it will reduce the pyro and hydro resistance of your enemies by 20% for 12 seconds. And Citlali will also gain 16 Night Soul points, but only once every 8 seconds. And this is absolutely busted. Just think that Raiden Shogun has to get a C2 to do this effect. I've always said this, reducing the resistance of your enemies has always been much better than just increasing the damage or the attack. This is very powerful and looks like a C6 effect, and we haven't even seen the second passive, which somehow is even more powerful. During the skill, the storm damage will be increased by 90% of Citlali's elemental mastery. This is already very powerful. Increasing by 90% of your elemental mastery already means that you will need to build an EM build for her, but most importantly, during the elemental burst, the ice storm damage will be increased by 1200% of her elemental mastery. Do you get how broken that is? 1200% of elemental mastery. And also, every time your nearby party members trigger a Night Soul burst, she will gain 4 Night Soul points. And I don't see a cooldown, so I guess that if you have a Natlan character, you can just keep getting her some Night Soul points so that she can just trigger the storm. Lastly, the final talent says that when you trigger a Night Soul burst, you will gain 20 Phlogiston. But this will happen only in a Natlan area, which is not very good. If you can do this in the Abyss or in a domain, this is not going to be very powerful for me. So what I'm noticing is that Hoyoverse is trying some new ways to make it better shielder than Zhongli, and the only real way to make it would be by making a shielder that can also trigger auto reactions. About the power of the shield, Zhongli is unbeaten. You can't just beat Zhongli on that. His shield has always been unrivaled, and even if they made a better shield, I don't think that will matter, because Zhongli can still get his shield broken anyway. But this time you don't just make a shield, but you'd also apply a lot of cryo, which is good because there are not many good cryo applicators apart from maybe Shenhe and Rosaria. And also Shenhe is very powerful with another cryo character, so she's a sub DPS that is limited to only cryo. This time she looks like she's kind of half limited to a Natlan set, but she can probably pull out something even in a normal team. And also yes, she was made for Mavuika. She will reduce the pyro resistance of your enemies, making Mavuika even more powerful, and also applying cryo constantly. And also, since both of them have many buffs that are granted by doing Night Soul stuff, they will work for the other constantly, which is very nice. So if you want to make Mavuika even more broken, you should get also Citlali. But I feel like Citlali is also going to be very powerful in just a freeze team. I remember a very nice team that was Rosaria, Scaramouche, Faruzan, and a Hydro character. So if you put Citlali instead of Rosaria, I feel like it's gonna be even more powerful now. Just overall, I feel like Citlali finally power crept Rosaria, which is very nice, because we do need a cry applicator after all of this time, so that's very nice. It's very good that now we have some new cry applicators, so she's a very good addition to the team. Now, on whether you should pull for them or not, this is very simple. For Mavuika, there is also Hutao, there is also Arlecchino, so getting Mavuika will not make much sense because you already have some good replacement. Arlecchino is still the best pyro DPS right now, so even if you don't have Mavuika, she's still going to be very powerful. And even if Hutao is not that great anymore, she can still put up a fight. So I'm not sure how good it is to actually get Mavuika. For Citlali instead, it's much better. She's very generic, she's open to any kind of pyro and hydro team, especially when it's about melt or freeze reactions. And also playing Citlali with Xiangling feels like it's gonna be very strong. But if you want a very powerful Mavuika, you will also need Citlali, as I said before. But if Mavuika's attack are considered normal attacks, then you can still play Yilan, Xinchu and all of that, so you don't actually need only Citlali. You do have a lot of replacements even here. In the end, of course, it also matters on what you like most. If you like them for the design, just go for it, because they are going to be meta, they're going to be very powerful, and you will pull for them anyway. But also building them might take some time, because their materials are going to be locked out on a boss that is going to be released in the version 5.3, so you will need some weeks to build them properly. But this is it for now. The livestream has just been released, and I prefer making this video before looking forward to some guides. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!